Um, Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm the clinician, and this is my patient, Kelsey.
I'm good.
Okay, the first is the tibialis anterior. It starts in the lateral tibial condyle in the upper half of the tibial surface. So work down to the medial and plantar surfaces of the first cuneiform and metatarsal. The action is dorsiflexion and inversion. So for the manual muscle test, we're going to do eversion and plantar flexion. I'm gonna hold this for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right.
Next is the extensor hallucis longus. The origin is the middle portion of the fibula, working its way down to the base of the distal phalanx of the first toe. It extends the first MP joint and IP joint. So extension. So I'm gonna force her into flexion for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Next is the extensor digitorum longus. It starts the lateral tibial condyle and the proximal 3/4 anterior of the fibula, down to the distal phalanges of the 4 toes, 2 through 5. So we're just gonna go like this. It extends the MP joints 2 through 5, as well as the IP and DP. So we're going to force her toes into flexion for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like shake. Okay, this is the extensor digitorum brevis. It's just a little bit, it's lower than the longus. The origin is the distal part of the superior and lateral surfaces of the calcaneus, and it goes down into the 4 tendons, the first through 4 digits. It extends the MP joints of the 1st through 4th. So we are going to force her toes again into flexion. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next is the peroneus tertius. Origin is the distal 1/3 anterior surface of the fibula. It goes down to the dorsal surface of the base of the 5th metatarsal. The action is eversion and dorsiflexion. So we're going to force the patient into plantar flexion and inversion for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the peroneus brevis starts in the distal 2/3 of the lateral fibula down to the base of the 5th metatarsal. It performs eversion and plantar flexion. So we're going to force the patient into dorsiflexion and inversion for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
Okay, next is the peroneus longus, which starts at the head and the upper 2/3 of the lateral fibular shaft, going down the lateral side into the medial cuneiform. The action is eversion and plantar flexion. So we're going to force the patient into dorsiflexion and inversion for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is the gastrocnemius. The origin is the medial and lateral epicondyles of the femur. It goes down all the way to the calcaneus through the Achilles tendon. The action is plantar flexion and knee flexion. So we're going to force the patient into dorsiflexion for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, next is the soleus. The origin is the posterior fibular head and the proximal 1/3 of the posterior fibula. It's under the gastrocnemius, so you can't really get to it unless you feel on the sides. It goes also all the way down to the calcaneus, through the gastrocnemius and the Achilles tendon. It also performs plantar flexion, so we're going to force the patient again into dorsiflexion for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, next is the tibialis posterior. The origin is the posterior lateral tibia and the proximal 2/3 medial fibula. You can't really feel it, but it goes down behind the medial malleolus down to the base of the 2nd through 4th metatarsals on the plantar surface. The action is plantar flexion and inversion, so we're going to force the patient into dorsiflexion and eversion. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The flexor hallucis longus is the same. It's the posterior distal 2/3 of the fibula. Comes also behind the medial malleolus to the plantar surface of the first toe, distal phalanx of the first toe. The action is to flex the first IP joint and flexion of the MP joint. So we're going to force the toe into extension. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Flexor digitorum longus. The origin is the middle 3/4 of the posterior surface of the tibia. The insertion is the base of the distal phalanges of the 2nd through 5th. So it goes behind the medial malleolus again, down to the phalanges of the 2nd through 5th. The action is to flex the 2nd through 5th IP joints. So we are going to force the patient's toes into extension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.